How do? Time for a Spider and Olde Scooter 4th of July edition. This is the end of the 4th of July. It's dark outside, as you can see. Had a great day. I'll recount just fascinating details of it as we go along. We're here to play Spider Solitaire. That's Spider Mac over there. Delightful collection of pixels representing an evil and destructive and killer competitiveness. Maybe not evil. She's always beating me. It seems relatively evil to me. So let's get on with it. I started my 4th of July day by getting on a bright red tractor and pushing sand for a neighbor. Had a big pile of sand left over from a stuccoing job. Needed it moved somewhere else. Bright red tractor, a hydraulic scoop thing in front, and me riding atop with my cowboy hat, and I pushed sand, which is different than pounding sand, if you know what I mean, and felt very neighborly about it. Actually, I love driving that tractor, so all good. And then I had sort of a quiet midday, pumping water from tank to tank and doing all those rural things. And then I went to a meeting of the East Mountains, as I've said, that's where I live, east of Albuquerque, Democrats. A minority group here in the East Mountains. I think the Republicans have the Democrats by 5 or 6 points just in the raw demographics. But we Democrats, or my special rating these days is libtard. We gathered and spent 2 or 3 hours of wonderful picnicking and meeting and listening to our new candidates for the state offices. And some very impressive, youngish, 30s people who could hold their own. And it's nice that we have some fresh faces, although the old faces have been just dandy. They just can't win because of the makeup of the neighborhood. And it's not gerrymandered or anything. It's just something about the East Mountains attracts, or has attracted, historically, more Republicans than Democrats. So, that was fun. To go to a political picnic on the 4th of July and hear stirring speeches from said politicians, although, of course, none of them are actually politicians. They're people who live in the district and who work. Many of them work in Albuquerque and commute. And we sat around and, believe it or not, almost no one talked at all about Trump, which I thought was refreshing. Talked about the issues facing our neighborhoods. Water, big deal, water. Nice, articulate, knowledgeable folks on the issues. So that was fun, very 4th of July-ish. It's actually the 4th of July-ishest thing I've done in years. It was fun. Then I came home and fed the cats. And then we watched a Capitol 4th, the Public Broadcasting System annual thing, PBS, that they do on, my mind is not just wandering, it's sort of detached from the game. I have no idea what's going on in front of me. Not much, I think you could safely say, but so much into reminiscing about my wonderful day that I lost track of why I'm here, which is to play. It's quite poetic. Oh, yeah, well, maybe if I take a deep breath and think positive thoughts, I think Spider Mac is probably feeling retaliation is in her book because I haven't paid much attention to her lately. I haven't talked about her amazing powers. I haven't made hyperbolic statements about how she reads my mind. She's miffed, so she's given me a totally rotten hand. Also, I think anthropomorphizing is one of the great developments in the human imagination. I'm sure you were dying to know that I think that, but I practice it regularly. Trees, cars, card games. It's a very kind way to see the world. You're less likely to be mean, to beat up your car or cuss out a card game if you have an anthropomorphic attitude about them. I'm not sure I've ever heard anthropomorphic attitude before. I love saying original things, whether they make sense or not. Well, I seem to have gotten into a rhythm here of some sort, like actually recognizing plays when they present themselves, flaunting their obviousness. This PBS fireworks thing, I tried to figure out how much they spent on fireworks. It must have been a fortune. I've read that fireworks displays hardly ever reach the number of shells being fired and amazing forms peering out of the smoke at us at price tags like $5,000 to $10,000 a minute. And this was the longest firework display I have ever witnessed on television or live. I bet that I didn't run the watch, but I bet it went 20 or 30 minutes, which is an endless fireworks display, especially if they're shooting off record numbers of record large stuff. Being a Democrat, the thought passed through my mind, you could have fed hundreds and hundreds of families in the starvation areas of Eastern Africa or in Yemen or, all those places people are literally dying of starvation, and here we are burning up the dollars like crazy people. Bread and circuses. But a darn impressive circus it was. I see no more moves. There may have been, as I always fess up to. I miss them sometime. Then when I see the recording, to see if I haven't made a total fool of myself before I post it here on the U of Tube, and I see myself missing moves, I think, Dodo, what? How can you not see that? But in real time, some of the moves are invisible to the befuddled mind. Well, we lost $75, takes $5.50 to break even, $1 a play, so $50 has gone to the house for their margin, and 25 plays is a $75 loss. It's been a good day. I bet I heard more of the classic patriotic songs sung and played and marched and so forth in the last 3 hours after we watched, we being a wife and I, the PBS spectacular. She went next door to her office here in the loft and watched YouTube-y things and Facebook reference things, and I heard a whole bunch of some of the same music, but sung differently, different chorales, different bands, different soloists. So I am soaking in patriotic music. If you ever wondered what someone would look like should you soak them in patriotic music like that. Well, happy 4th. Live long and prosper. I get it right. Big hands, Duff. Can you do that? I know people who can't do that. Seems easy to me. Good night.